driving instructor. He has been politician. He has been mentor, community activist, and there are some others. This is a man for whom 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 does not apply. And it really takes a strong and supportive family to get where he is and for him to be here today. And so I commend his family and his friends. I also want to commend the editor and the publisher, Covenant Books, for believing in his story and for ensuring that reality, not but for I'd say hundreds and thousands over time to lead into the millions of people across 164 countries who will take this book up in their hands, or soon to be, as what do they call it again, when it's on voice, to over the course of his book, that it is available in some of the well-known outlets internationally. It is in Barnes & Noble. It is in Amazon, Target, Harvard Bookstore, Newswire, eBay. So Mr. Young, well done. Well done. I just want to close by saying that too many of us are scared of our own power, our own influence, and our own abilities. And it has become so fashionable, as the Jamaicans would say, to small up yourself. I want to tell you here today that each of us has a purpose in this life, because God would have ordained it at your conception. And too many of us live a life where we do not live to our fullest potential. And each one of us has the ability to influence at least one other person and to help them to rise to greatness. And this is what our country needs at this time. We need more courageous men and women. We need a citizenry which believes in our abilities, ourselves, and each other. Because I believe that this gem in the Caribbean can be and has the ability to be one of the leading countries across the world as a small island developing state. But what we need more men and women of integrity, not just in politics, but in all spheres of life, who are committed, who are patriotic, and who are unafraid. And so let us take a few leaves from Mr. Young's experience and his book, and to call out injustice when we see it, to speak up against the ills plaguing our society. Because some of the scourges that we see happening in our country every day, they didn't start yesterday. They started a long time ago, because many of us as adults were afraid to call out our own children, our neighbors' children, members in our community, ourselves, adults as well, when we knew what they were doing would not reap any good benefits. I'm going to just close by echoing Mr. Young's words again, that if we continue to sow the wind, we will reap a whirlwind of catastrophic proportions. that will threaten to destroy Antigua and Barbuda. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Messiah. At this time, we'll listen to a Negro anthem. We'll listen to a Negro anthem at this time.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, a little light spiritual called Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrow. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Oh, yes, Lord. Sometimes I'm almost to the ground. Oh, yes, Lord. Oh, nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory,
At this time, we'll hear from the author, Mr. Trevor Young. Mr. Young? You're going to sit or stand?
Good afternoon, all. As we heard Louis Armstrong, it says, nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrow. You can only know what you feel for yourself. And as the old saying goes, who in the kitchen is they who feels the heat. So some people out there in Antigua public, they like to say Mr. Young is bitter. I'm not bitter. A person who speaks the truth can't be bitter. I know the truth hurts. That is what I know. Today you will see me clad in this 4-year-old t-shirt. But this t-shirt has sentimental value. I am very sorry that I have to ask you to dress up while I am in an old 4-year-old t-shirt. Has some holes in the back and so on. Please don't pay attention to the t-shirt, pay attention to the words written. This is the second time I would have stood in this conference hall. The first time was when I was doing a press conference. And now I'm launching a book. The time came in 2016 when I left my 29-year service of policing and joined the ranks of the United Progressive Party. Most people didn't know where I was born until I came into politics. You know, politics, a lot of things that people didn't know would have come to light. But it left some UPP supporters and executive very uneasy that a non-national came, stayed here for 29 years, and then entered into politics. It didn't go down well with some people. So what happened? We all lost the election in 2018. In 2019, there was a group called themselves, what they call themselves? Faithful Nationals. And they started to march against what you call the global port. They started to march against a lot of projects in Antigua and Barbuda that the Labour Party would have promoted. And they formed themselves as a clique in this country. I noticed that the United Progressive Party went and joined them. So I called up Mr. Harold Lovell. I said, listen, I'm a non-national who ran for your party the last elections. And how can you have a United Progressive Party go in with some people, a handful of elitists, call themselves the Faithful Nationals? I asked him, so what happened to the non-nationals who are faithful? So I went and I printed this t-shirt. And the last march they held in Antigua and Barbuda, I wore this t-shirt. And I met Harold Lovell at the meeting. I said, Mr. Lovell, if you continue to bring the UPP into this, with this group of people, Faithful National, well then I will get 100 persons to wear these t-shirts at the next march. That is history. They never had another march after that. This picture is in my book. I am still a faithful non-national, and you must respect that. We must respect that. And I'm saying, where I catch my coal, there is where I'm going to blow my nose. The last time I was here to have a press conference, the UPP sent out a press release stating that if I only carry out the press conference in this room, that they were going to sue me. Up to now, I haven't gotten anything from the court. I'm still waiting for a lawsuit. But this book that I have in my hand, it has 17 chapters. I was born on the 17th of June. Chapter 17 has 29 sayings of my parents. I served for 29 years in the police force. I was arrested on the 8th of June 2016, and chapter 8 of this book tells of my ordeals as to what happened on that awful day. Today is the 8th of June. And as I asked you this morning to give me a round of applause on my anniversary, so you would have done that this morning already. I'm not going to ask you to do that again. After I would have launched this book today, I know I would get some enemies. But equally, I believe I will get some friends. My friends, the truth will always stand. Truth stands alone. It needs no catch. In St. Vincent the Grenadines, we plant banana, figs. Most of us would have a backyard garden with figs, and sometimes you have them leaning, and you have to cut a piece of wood. They call it a catch. And you catch the banana tree, and that would stay there until it matures. Truth does not need any catch. Truth does not need help, no support. It needs no witness. Truth pushed down will always rise up. I say to the world today, brace yourself for truth. Don't blame the truth. My message to the world today would be clear and precise. I, Trevor Theodolphus Young, is full of blemish. But my message to you today has none. The only thing I want you to leave this launch with is that what men meant for evil to destroy Trevor Young, that God turned it into a book. I stand before you today as the author of the book, Integrity Comes with a Price. I want to assure you that I wrote this book not because I think that I'm better off than you are. Not because I want to gloat at the persons and the situations that I wrote about. Not because I think that I am more virtuous and perfect than you are. We all have fallen short of God's glory in many, many ways. I wrote this book because I have concluded that my life story will impact the next generation, not only in Antigua and Barbuda and the Caribbean, but by extension the world. And as you would have heard this morning, this book is in 164 countries. a record-breaking book, 7 months old. I wrote this book because Antigua and Barbuda is in danger as far as the love of money is concerned. And I repeat, I wrote this book because Antigua and Barbuda is in danger as far as the love of money is concerned. Money has become the center stage in Antigua and Barbuda. Money has become the focal point. Let me warn you here and now that the love of money is the main root of all evil. I'll come home to you soon. Gone are the days when we call dirty men by their names in this country. We stop calling them dirty, scamp, vagabonds, rapists, murderers, thieves, child molesters. Once you have little money in Antigua and Barbuda, and you can give away a few dollars, some of the people who have the money throw it on the street for you to take up. When you come and beg them, they throw it on the street. I saw that with my eyes, and you have to take it up from the street. Because they have plenty that they can don't spend. Then you are called a very nice man. He's a very nice man. He's a very nice man. Because of money. Money make you nice man in Antigua. We are the country that thinks upside down. The persons we deem vagabonds in the past are the same persons we give prominence in this country. Lord have mercy. I wrote this book because we continue to accept monies for out-of-court settlements, for court cases of sexual harassment, sexual assault, which are even perpetuated on our own children by adults. I wrote this book because our justice system is in a crisis. And sometimes even the Bar Association don't even talk about it. Can you imagine that a UPP government brought a DPP to this country that has dark clouds hanging over his head and left Antigua and Barbuda with dark clouds hanging over the justice system? You heard of all the confusion in the cases in the courts lately. You heard where the government in power is trying to its best through our parliament to fix a procedural error, or if you want to call it a procedural matter. And you know, and I know, the opposition party in parliament don't care a hoot whether all the criminals in the past few years set free, because they're refusing to discuss these matters. The record is there, and I want to ask Wendell Robinson, the former Embattled Commissioner of Police, one question. Why is only now you are seeing these procedural errors? Why you didn't see them while you were the head of the police organization? And I hold that against you, Wendell. Because it seems now like everything going away in Antigua and Barbuda as the justice system is concerned, because of one point that you brought up in this country. Something that you never saw when you had power and influence. I wrote this book to break the back of silence in this country. We stay silent about nepotism. One set of people are nyam in Antigua and Barbuda. Sorry to use the word nyam, but people don't understand what I'm trying to get at here today. We stay silent about the criminal wickedness in high places in Antigua and Barbuda. And the most of all, we stay silent about corruption. I wrote this book. I, Trevor Theodolphus Young, has nothing in the dot that will mar my path to integrity. Somebody from Crosby's met me the other day and they said, Mr. Young, you ran for 2 political parties. If anyone had anything against you, they would have bring it up already. So you're good to go. This morning, Uppercut met me downtown and he said, Mr. Young, you're looking well. He said, you look like nothing trouble you. I said, brother, thank God for the grace of God. The grace of God carries me. You know why I know that? You know how I know that? 2019, I went to the airport late with my wife to go and board a flight to the US. They were having a surprise birthday party for my son in the US, and they sent a ticket from the school for her. A surprise birthday party. And we went late to the airport. And when I went to the agent, she was just closing up, leaving to go upstairs. I said, Mom, my wife traveling to the US. She said, what? The flight closed already, you know, sir? I said, Mom, what can you do for me? I said, for years my wife didn't see my son. Can you do anything for me, please? The lady said, Mr. Young, I'm sorry, but nothing can be done. But I'm still going to try something. I'm going upstairs. I was walking with the Prime Minister that when plane door closed, Prime Minister couldn't get in. They turned it back. Attorney General went to airport already and had to turn back because what? Flight closed. Next thing I saw the lady coming back down. Mr. Young, come, bring the suitcase, come. They opened back the flight for your wife. I said, thank God in my mind. I didn't say it loud. Maybe I should have shouted it out in the airport. But I know the Spirit of God is with this man, Trevor Young. Maybe not. You see the name Trevor Young? This name is good in Antigua and Barbuda. So, flight open up. That was history. Now I do a night gig with a security company in this country. And one night, 3 o'clock in the morning, so to speak, I went to visit some guards. And when I pulled up, the guard came to the bus. I took her the diary, I perused it, I signed, and she signed my paper. She said, Mr. Young, where the person that came with you in the front of the vehicle? I said, sis, nobody came with me. She said, Mr. Young, yes, somebody drove in here with you. I said, let me tell you, it must have been the Spirit of God with me. I said, nobody came with me. I said, go through the van. Because the bus I use the money. I said, search the bus. I said, sis, if you think it's a lie, go and search the bus. The lady went in, searched the bus. Nobody was there. So I know I've been protected. You understand? So there's nothing to be afraid of. And the last time I did a DNA test, integrity was still the component of my DNA. That was what made up my DNA. And if I held my integrity for so long, I don't know how we're going to break it this time. Last week, a young man came with his son. Mr. Young, I want a driver's license for my son. Remember, I wanted to teach my son to drive. I said, yes, I'm available. I'm available. In a smaller voice now. So I can't get the license to buy it. I said, boy, no place. I said, you want me to sell your son a casket? Me say, you want to buy a casket in front of your son? Many persons who buy license, buying casket. Buying a casket, if you want, buy a 6 feet down at the cemetery. You understand? And that is what Antigua has come to. Because everybody believes everything is to sell. Right? Everything is to sell. Kind and otherwise is to sell. And it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? I can recall vividly in 2019, I used to go to the transport board to picket. Certain things was taking place up there. And that particular Tuesday, I picketed for 6 months, every Tuesday. And that particular young lady, she looked outside through the window. And she told the other staff that were peeping to see Mr. Young picketing, "Why, then I don't kill you already? Then I don't kill you?" Well, I'm still alive up to this day. But what is instructive is that 1 week after the United Progressive Party hierarchy had a meeting with all the candidates that ran in the 2018 elections, and the leader of that meeting called me out and said, "Stop picketing bread out of people's mouth." This is Antigua and Barbuda. Stop picketing bread out of people's mouth. Because you know what I was picketing? There was a guy and a woman selling lice up there like hot bread. And I knew it because I sent somebody to them. Because I'm an old police. I'm an old police and I did it. And I knew it was facts and I started to pick it. Anyhow, they are no more. They are gone from that department. And I say so without fear or favor. And I'm saying to anyone, if I have to picket or stand up against any unjust means, any unlawful act, Trevor Young is still going to stand up and picket. And if I have to get locked up, I got arrested a second time, but it's time to talk about that. 2 arrests I got in the 6 years that I retired from the police force. But if I have to pick it again for against dishonest bread, I am going to take my placard and go and pick it. I don't have to have no crowd. Because not everything you do, you have to walk with a crowd. And as I said again, only certain people in Antigua and Barbuda and Yam. And how they Yam? They nepotize the system. Friend push friend and have 5 and 6 of one thing, and then the poor man have nothing. And it's time for these things to stop. That's why Trevor Young wrote this book. People are saying, if the politician can do it, I can do it. You know what started the medical benefit inquiry? One young lady saw the politician thieving. And she said, "But if he can do one thing, we can try a thing too." You know what she did? She made up a nice check of $75,000. That is what started the medical benefit inquiry. Tim Hector put the check. Somebody leaked the check. Tim Hector put the check in his newspaper outlet, and that's what striked the medical benefit inquiry, which I was one of the key personnel down there, the key investigator. I spoke about it in the book. This is the era for a new breed of politicians to rise up. A breed of politicians that will disrupt the status quo, as it were. And let me talk something about the status quo there. You can have all the policies you have, the best policies in the world, and you are not seen out there making noise. When I say making noise, fighting for people, you keep your policy by yourself. UPP got into power when they went into finance department. I was in the red squad at the time when we went down there and kicked down a door, man, and go inside. You have to be seen like you're fighting for people, real fight. You can have all the policies you want. You can't disrupt no status quo if you're not ready to fight. And sometimes you have to go and physically fight to disrupt status quo. And let that go down on the record today. Let that go down on the record. The Honorable Prime Minister Gaston Brown allegedly kicked down a door. I said allegedly. And you see where he had power. He get power because he saw people saw him as a fighter. If nobody see you as a fighter, they better you pack up shop. You can't be no politician, you can't be a fighter. Cannot. You have to be seen as a person who can fight for your country, who can fight for people's rights. So you can have all the policy and read all the policies on radio. You can read all the policies you have on radio. And they're nice they are. They're not going to disturb no status quo unless the people see you fighting for those same policies that you have. The time has come for us to stamp out corruption in this country, man. So this brings me to the greatest question ever asked. And this is a question that Senator Tabor has a problem with. And the question is asked, what is the greatest want of this world? And Ellen G. White, one of my icons, came up with the best answer. And she said, and I quote, the greatest want in this world is the want of men. Men who cannot be bought or sold. Politicians who cannot be bought or sold, man. Judges who cannot be bought or sold. We're talking about men here, men and women. I remember somebody told me a story. Some years ago, they had an election case. And a politician came out of the court. And the politician beat his pocket like this. Somewhere in the world, I think it's Africa. And the politician says, money talk, bullshit walk. In other words, he's insinuating that something was wrong with the judge. And I'm saying today, God, the greatest want in the world today is men who cannot be bought or sold. So we reach judges, policemen and women who cannot be bought or sold. DPP, who cannot be bought or sold. We touched him earlier on. Magistrates, who cannot be bought or sold. I told the story of a magistrate in the readings. Court officers, who cannot be bought or sold. Trade unionists, who cannot be bought or sold. Public and private sector workers, who cannot be bought or sold. Statutory corporation workers, Christians, pastors, safe or unsafe people, all men and women who cannot be bought or sold. Men who in their innermost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call wrong by its right name. Men whose conscience is true to duty as a needle to the pole. Men who will stand up for the right, though the heavens fall. I must assure you today that such a character is not the result of an accident. It is not due to special favors or endowments, providence, but from a noble character. A noble character only comes to us as a result of self-discipline and a surrender to our Creator, God Himself. We need to surrender self for service of love in this country. I am happy to know that I am happy to know that there are people in Antigua and Barbuda, in the Caribbean and in the world that are willing to go forth until the end, standing up for what is right and wholesome. Standing up for truth, though the heavens fall. I want to say today, there's this man, Vladimir Kara-Murza of Russia, is a living testimony of standing up for truth, even though the heavens fall. My contemporary, I call him, was sentenced to 25 years in jail. He criticized President Putin just to say the war against the other country is wrong. Please listen to what the former journalist's testimony was before the judge. Hear what he says, and I quote, "Every word that I have said Not only do I not repent of it, I am proud of it. I know that the day will come when the darkness engulfing our country will clear. He's talking about Russia. Our society will open its eyes and shudder when it realizes what crimes were committed in this country. When Kamaruza heard that he was sentenced to 25 years in jail, he said, "My self-esteem rose. I realized I had been doing everything right. I could not stay silent about Putin and the war. I am encouraged today when I use similar words in my book on page 88, line 8 to 17. When you buy a book, you'll read and see what I said there about my lockup. When I was arrested, I used similar words, as I said before. So thank God today, I am in good company. I want to assure you that I will continue to blow the trumpet of democracy in the state of Antigua and Barbuda. At the end of my life, I would only want to be remembered as that drop of water that bore a hole in a stone. Not as a great policeman or a great community activist, nor a great politician. I continue to drip on the big stones of corruption in Antigua and Barbuda in many ways. Nepotism, bigotry, and prejudice. And the most dangerous stone, silence. I deny myself many times to put Antigua and Barbuda first. I ask what I can do for my country, not what my country can do for me. I'm going to go straight into the last segment, Candy. What is the subtopic there? 5 minutes and then that's it. Yeah. I promise a moment that you would never see or heard at a book launch, and I'm going to do it now. Now, I am not afraid to say to the world today that some person or persons are planning my demise. And take that from me. I will refer you to it in my book, page 134, page 134. I have to read this for you. In page 134. I'm going to read it. And hear what it says here. I can recall that in 2016, just weeks after my arrest, a policeman came to me and said it was not good for me to be on the road at night alone because a certain policeman was planning to kill me. The policeman who warned me was and still is a good friend of mine. I told him that if I had to hide from police in Antigua, it was time enough for me to pack up and leave Antigua. I told him that I wouldn't lay down my life for anyone so easily, and that I would put up a resistance against any such person or persons who would want to do that to me. But listen this now. The same policeman who gave me this information told me that police is trying to knock me off. You know what he's telling the young police officers now? They must harass me on the street so that they can get my protection. And I don't have to say what my protection is. We are sensible enough to know a kind of man who has a patrol harbor. You should know Mr. Young don't joke. So you will know what the protection is. Right? I operate a patrol harbor, man. Go on Facebook and you'll see. The same police who used to give me those information, he is instigating that policeman harassed me on the street. During the election, last election, that same police call all over the place, don't vote for Young. Young not a bad man, don't vote for Young. Young is a bad man. You see, I'm a stumbling block in the way. And listen up this now, listen this. I know what they know. And they know that it is hell work if this country, and if they get through with what they're trying and what they're planning to do. They know Trevor Young knows what they're planning to do. You see, my friend, there are still a few criminal elements in the police force who will go to the length and breadth to mash up to mash up hybrid cases, criminal cases and criminal investigations in this country. Can you imagine that at one time, when I was the bodyguard for Dr. Baldwin Spencer, a policeman came to me, Mr. Young, why do something for me? I said, what? You can't go in cabinet and get certain documents. He told me what the documents were. He told me what they were. And I told him, I said, boss, what happened? I said, you have to be a crazy man. I said, you want me to commit perjury? I said, I can't go into government documents and take government documents for you. Man, just think about it because you would have been all right. You understand? So that is the kind of people we have in a police force. And I'm saying today that these people came from the lineage of oligarchy. The oligarchy tribe. They got money from whatever means. And they have money. So what they do, they control a few police officers around there. They influence also the Police Service Commission. They can tell the Police Service Commission who to promote and who not to promote. They call the shots for promotion in the force. I'm talking about a little handful of police officers who gain wealth in very shady ways. They believe that their sole existence is carry news to politicians, both UPP and to the Labour Party. I was there, so I know. I was close to Prime Minister. They want to reach the highest rank in the police force and don't want to attend development courses so that they can be on the cutting edge of time. They want free ride right up to Commissioner of Police, but they don't want to attend courses, the hard courses that you're supposed to do. You saw I did some of them on the videos I did this morning. They're always in the river, on the bank with our justice system, mashing up our justice system, taking advantage of the situation. But let me pause here and send a message, a warning now to these kind of police officers. You are going to reap what you are sowing. You are sowing the wind, and you are going to surely reap the whirlwind. I thought when I left the police force and stood up against corruption that the force would have changed, but the force does not change, did not change up to today. Because we have this handful of influential police officers who feel that they can get things done differently than how it's supposed to be done. And we have them messing up and messing around the police force, stifling justice in this country. Our young people, they are watching this country for a selected few criminals in this country, while the jail bursting at its seams with our young people who could have gotten a chance, just like the one who they send to jail, send back to jail and pull him out of jail because politicians come and say, let him out of jail. You ever hear more in this country? Our justice system is in a mess. Let me pause again to warn you all. Jail and lockup is not only for the poor people. Jail and lockup is for rich and for poor. The like and the unliked, the black and the white, the beautiful and not so beautiful. I'm not saying ugly because nobody ugly. Jail was made for criminals. And my message today to the police force, stop protect criminals in this country. Because our young people are watching, and that's why they are so bitter. Because they know you're protecting big man and big woman because they have influence and money. And while the young people from Grace Farm, Point and Villa and All Saints in jail, pack up jail. It's unfair. And I hope you all don't have any children because these courses will go on your children. I thought the police force would have been better, but it's getting worse. And underline that today. Trevor Young says so today. I know exactly what's going on. It's gotten worse. We need our country to breathe. We need our country back out of the hands of white-collar criminals. The Spirit of God cannot permeate the land of Antigua and Barbuda when the people who are the vanguards of justice are dabbling with criminal wickedness in high places. We have to stop. We have to stop. And I'm saying today, Antigua and Barbuda, I don't care whether they plan my demise or not. If I die, just bury me simple. Bury me simple. Because if you didn't want me when I stood in Antigua for integrity, don't come at my church service and say nothing, don't read nothing. No eulogy. My eulogy is written in here. Eulogy is not when you're born and what you did in life. This is my eulogy, man. So you're going to read my eulogy from this book. The songs I love, those are the songs you're going to sing. And my Bible text that I love is right in this book. So you don't have to go further away. Everything for my burial is in this book. So I don't want nobody going up to sing nothing. I don't want nobody to go up there to read no eulogy unless you're reading from something from this. Just sing the hymns of the Adventist faith for me, man. I'll be good enough for that. Sing 17 of them represent my 17th day when I was born in in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. No big service. No ton of people coming and crying no way. Because if you didn't want me, when I stood up in this country for justice and against injustice and corruption, then don't come. And I want to send a message to the UPP executive. If I die in any funny way in Antigua, don't come. The only person I want to see there, persons, is the Honorable Dr. Baldwin Spencer. He's my political father. And the man Wilmot Daniel. Those are the only two can pass at my funeral if I die funny in this country. But I'm saying to you, I'm not going to lie down. This is a man that when I left the police force, my cable, I didn't have cable for 2 years. Every minute my current cut off from the APA. I did have to refinance my vehicle about 2 or 3 times in the few years I left the police force. I now start to breathe. Because the people who I left the police force for, they turned their backs on me. With the exception of the Honorable Wilmot Daniel and Mr. Baldwin Spencer, Dr. Baldwin Spencer. No one else must come there. I am saying they are planning my demise, but I'm not worried. I am not in any way or shape or form. The only thing that hurt me recently, I'm going to share 2 short things and then I finish. I didn't cry when I got arrested. Did not shed 1 tear. Because as I said, I got bolder. I got bolder. I feel to go on to fight more after my arrest is when the newest neighbor in my neighborhood poisoned all 5 dogs for me. That's the only time I cried recently. Well, I shared a few this morning when I was talking about the differently able child that I did the book in his name. A neighbor come in my neighborhood and poisoned all 5 dogs. He passed, if you can't tie a dog, I'm going to kill them. In a matter of weeks, all 5. I feel that, so I cried. One more thing caused me to cry and ponder. Somebody who frequent my home, somebody outside my home, got him to video every corner of my house. To video every corner of my house. If I build a new house and you feel you want to see the house, come and see the house now. Ask me to come and see the house now. Video every room of my home. And I feel threatened with that. And you know how I got to know? Women like to fall out. When they have their story, they fall out. One fall out with her and say, Mr. Young, come here. You know, she video whole house. Get the person, you call the person name, for video your whole house. Why should you do me that? I feel very much assaulted and insulted for you to send somebody at my home to video my whole home. You know, if you do that in America, what happened to you? You can't do that. Those are the only 2 things ever troubled me lately. The lockup never troubled me. Right? And last but not least, you see, when you come from the sky, you would have seen death before your eyes. I came from the space already. It's in my book where I was jumping from a helicopter. They call it rappelling. The picture is there because everything in this book is being substantiated by whether a picture or by an experience. Right? This book is full of experience. And let me tell you, once you come from up there, that space, and that man touch you in that helicopter or plane and touch your back and say, go down there. The moment you look down, you may be a dead person. So I've seen life and death before my eyes already because of the kind of training I do. So I'm not worried about who talking about kill Mr. Young or kill Mr. Young. I'm all right. But the only message I'm sending, just realize that Mr. Young is not an easy walkover. That's the message I'm sending this afternoon. I'm not no easy walkover. You don't walk over Mr. Young easy. And people should know that by now. You heard a certain man call me there today, a quiet volcano. If you all listening the videos. A quiet volcano. I'm very quiet, very nice man. But you are not going to take advantage of me and cause me to sorry for myself. Once I sorry for myself, you're in trouble. So I thank you all to come and witness this very, very important occasion in my life. And I would say today, Antigua, you sow the wind, and you are going to reap the whirlwind. You saw the win even at the last general elections. Even at the last general elections, when you all allow some criminals into our parliament. And I'm not afraid to say that. Because why? Some kind of drumming money raise up, and all kind of money they flash wrong, so people sell more vote than anything else. You understand where I'm coming from? Sell vote. Why you all can't give a perfect platform where everybody have the same, so that we'll see if it's policy or money. You understand? So I am saying, we sow the wind, and we are going to reap the whirlwind unless we change the status quo in Antigua and Barbuda, where we start to vote decent, upright young men and women in this country. We will always have this problem that we are facing today. God bless Antigua and Barbuda. And God bless the great America, where this book was published. Because this book, today, witness that Trevor Young is moving around the world in 164 countries. All I can say, to God be the glory. Great things he has done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. We've now come to the end of the program, and my final task is to thank everyone who participated in one way or the other. And so I'd like to thank everyone who came, took time out of their busy schedule to attend this book launch, Integrity Comes with a Price. Special thanks to Pastor Sharp for invoking God's presence among us. We want to say thanks to Ms. Flora Haywood for rendering special music. Ms. Joanne Mathiah for her kind remarks and words of encouragement. We want to thank ABS TV for coming out. Thanks to everyone who came out to make this event possible. Special thanks also goes out to the management and staff of the Heritage Hotel and to the many sponsors who contributed to the event. Once again, thank you, Mr. Young, for your daring tenacity and passion. If you didn't have that, this book would not have been a reality. Keep on fighting the fight of integrity. Once again, thanks to everyone. Continue to enjoy the rest of the day and stay hydrated. It's hot outside. Thank you.
Thank you too.
It's $100.